Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bir Krishnadas Goswami Niti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So the topic for today is Gopashtami. As I hope everybody is aware, very auspicious day. I'll share my screen. Is my screen visible to everybody, please?
Yes, Prabhu, it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So if one is in Vrindavan today, one of the most popular bhajans that is sung on this day is Chote Chote Gaiya, Chote Chote Gwal, Chota Samero Madana Gopal. This is a very popular Brajbasi song that is sung, especially on this day, and it means the gopis are singing. The cows and the cowherd boys are young and small, just like my little Madana Gopal, Sri Krishna. So Gopashtami. Gopashtami has got two words in it, Gopa and Ashtami. Gopa stands for cowherd boy. Today is the day that Krishna changes from Vatsa Balaka to Go Palaka. Once again, Vatsa Balaka to Go Palaka. That is, going from herding the calves, the little ones, to herding the cows. And Ashtami, as we know, is the 8th lunar day, either in the bright or the dark fortnight of the lunar month. So in the Padma Puran, in the Kartik Mahatmya section, and this is quoted in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, Shuklashtami Kartiketu Smrita Gopashtami Buddhahi Tad Dinad Vasudevo Abhu Gopa Purvam Tu Vatsapaha. The 8th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Kartika is known by authorities as Gopashtami. From that day, Lord Vasudeva served as a cowherd, whereas previously he had tended to the calves. So this is Gopashtami, 8th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Kartik, which is today. Now, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this particular pastime of Gopashtami occurs only in one verse. That is 10th canto, chapter 15, verse number 1. Sukadeva Goswami said, when Lord Rama and Lord Krishna attained the age of Pauganda, 6 to 10, while living in Vrindavan, the cowherd men allowed them to take up the task of tending the cows. Engaging thus in the company of their friends, the two boys rendered the land of Vrindavana most auspicious by imprinting upon it the marks of their lotus feet. So this is the only verse that relates to Gopashtami in the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam. And one may question why and how is it so? Why is it only one verse when today it's celebrated in a great manner in all our ISKCON temples, and Vrindavan, this is a big festival today. Now, Acharyas explain that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami had a mission. He had just 7 days and he had to finish the Srimad Bhagavatam because, as we know, Parikshit Maharaj was going to leave his body. So hence he just touched upon this. But then how do we get to know more about this Leela or get deeper insights into this Leela? That is where the mercy of our Acharyas come down. So today we are going to refer a couple of scriptures in our discussion. First one is Gopal Champu by Srila Jiva Goswami. Number 2, Ananda Vrindavan Champu by Srila Kavi Karnapura. And also Govinda Lilamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So this particular Leela, where does it occur in the sequence of the entire pastimes of Krishna? So it happened after the Agasur and the Brahma Vimohana Leela, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, and before the Dhenukasura Leela in the Talavan forest. So at this time, this particular Krishna was in Nandagaon. So 2 days ago, guided by His Grace Surit Krishna Prabhuji, we were in Nandagaon. And then yesterday, guided by Her Grace Radha Padma Devidasi, we had visited Varshana. So today we are heading back to Nandagaon. So until about 5 years old, Krishna was only herding the calves. And because he was little, he was not allowed to go too far into the forest. He could only go as far as could be seen from the top of the Nanda Bhavan, Nanda Maharaja's palace. So that both Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya could keep an eye on Lala. Now, during that time, while he was herding the cows, he was, of course, killing small demons, but nothing major, nothing big. Yashoda Maya used to keep an eye on him from the top of her palace, on the top platform, whereas Nanda Maharaj also had his own spies, Acharyas say, that would go around and keep an eye on Krishna and report back to Nanda Maharaj. Now, Krishna's Leelas are divided into 4 categories. The first one is Vatsa Balaka or the Kaumara, which is 0 to 5 years old. And then you have the Pauganda, which is 6 to 10 years. Then the Kaishora, 11 to 15 years. And finally the Yauvana, that is 16 plus or 16. So these are the 4 categories of Krishna's ages wherein he performs different Leelas. Now we have the Golok Vrindavan, and then we have the Bhauma Vrindavan, which is accessible to us. Now, the Leelas of all these 4 categories happen only in Bhauma Vrindavan. Whereas in the Golok Vrindavan, Krishna always stays eternally in the Kaishora age, which is 11 to 15. Now, referring to a scripture called Gaura Govind Archana Charana Paddhati from Dhyana Chandra Goswami, who's actually a disciple of Gopal Guru Goswami, who again was a disciple of Vakreshwara Pandit. If you recollect, Vakreshwara Pandit was a close associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who used to be one of the lead dancers in the Jagannath Puri, one of the 7 parties that danced around the Rath. And this Vakreshwara Pandit was actually the incarnation of Tungavidya Sakhi, who was an expert in dancing. So Dhyanachandra Goswami, in his book Gaura Govind Archana Charana Paddhati, he mentions the specific age of Sri Krishna and Srimati Radharani in the Golok. So Krishna's age is said to be 15 years, 9 months, and 7.5 days. And this doesn't change. It's fixed. Similarly, Srimati Radharani's eternal age in Golok Vrindavan is 14 years, 2 months, and 15 days old. It doesn't go up or down. So this is their eternal ages in Golok Vrindavan. So this particular Gopashtami, this Leela happened in Nandagaon. So once upon a time, Yashoda Maya was in great anxiety. And the reason that was causing her anxiety was that she had been observing Krishna as he was getting close to 5 years old. And she could notice a lot of changes in Krishna's behavior, in his talk. And she noticed that he was becoming very respectful, not so mischievous. He paid dandavats to his parents, and he would talk beautifully with fully well-formed sentences. And she was getting a little bit concerned. What happened to that naughty boy Krishna? And why this drastic transformation? And also, she also felt that Krishna these days, normally she felt that she would give him a bath, dress him up and all. But now Krishna wasn't allowing her to do that. He would bathe himself, he will dress up, and then he would come to take obeisances from Yashoda Maya. So this was causing a little bit of grief for her. So when she was meditating on this and sitting in the courtyard, wife of Abhinandan came and met her. Now, who's Abhinandan? Nanda Maharaj's father was Parjanya Gopa. He had two wives. One was a Kshatriya wife and the other one was a Gopa wife called Viriyasi Dasi. Viriyasi Dasi. So with the Gopa wife, Parjanya Gopa had 5 sons and 2 daughters. The 5 sons were Upananda, Abhinandan, then Nanda Maharaj, who was in the middle, and then Sananda and Nandan, 5 of them. And 2 daughters called Sananda Devi and Nandini Devi. So Abhinandan was the elder brother of Nanda Maharaj. So his wife came across and had a chat with Yashoda Maya, and Yashoda Maya expressed her concerns to Abhinandan's wife. And Abhinandan's wife said, but this is normal. As the child grows up, you are bound to see these changes. So there is nothing to be worried about. But she was not to be consoled. So this is Yashoda Maya. On the other hand, Nanda Maharaj had also been observing these changes in our Lala. And Nanda Maharaj was telling his brothers, Abhinandan and Upananda, who had come to visit him, that Abhinandan, I see whenever you guys come, Krishna talks to you very freely and he jokes with you, he laughs with you. But when it comes to me, he is extremely formal. He is not able to look at me eye to eye. So may I ask what you guys are discussing and what is the subject matter that brings out so much laughter and such a free talk, which doesn't happen with me? Then Abhinandan tells Nanda Maharaj, the truth is that when Krishna talks to us, there's only one thing he says. He says, Are my Baba, Nanda Maharaj, he goes and herds the cows morning to evening. And by the time he comes, he's extremely tired. Why doesn't he retire and let me take up that service of herding the cows? Why doesn't he retire? This is all he talks about, Nanda Maharaj. And Nanda Maharaj goes, oh, really? Did Krishna say that? But he doesn't take it seriously. He still thinks Krishna is his little Lala, less than 5 years old. He's not capable or responsible enough. And he laughs it off. But his elder brothers try to convince him further. Listen, Nanda Maharaj, remember what happened this morning? We went to the Goshala to take the cows out to the forest. But the cows were reluctant to move from their position until Krishna had visited them. So I think it's time that you hand over the responsibility to Krishna. But Nanda Maharaj was adamant. He said, no, I do not want to talk about the subject matter anymore. So basically, we can see both Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya were reluctant to give Krishna the free hand. But on the other hand, our little Lala, he was extremely determined to get the permission to herd the cows. So what is this mystery behind Krishna so eagerly wanting to become a Gopa? Let's listen to what the Acharyas have to say about this. Now, let's remind ourselves, when Krishna was in Nandagaon, when he reached about 10 years and 7 months, he left from Mathura and he never came back. So let's keep this at the back of our mind for the moment. In Gopal Champu, Srila Jiva Goswami also says, Krishna, unlike the other Gopas, he used to grow at a much faster rate. He used to grow 1.5 times the age, that is in maturity. So when he turned at the age of 5, he used to speak like an 8-year-old. So with these points in mind, let's look at what the Acharyas have to say. The Acharyas say, Krishna, although he was there giving pleasure to the Gopas and Gopis, he still had a job to perform. He remembered that he was there to kill demons. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam. But the problem was, when he was herding calves, as we heard earlier, he could not go very far. Because Nanda Maharaj, the Nanda Bhavan, as you can see in your photo on the right-hand side, you see the bottom courtyard and you see the top platform. Now, the top platform is where Yashoda Maya, her kitchen was downstairs. And during the day, during the first half of the day, while Krishna was out only as far as she could see from the top platform, he could go. So every few minutes, while she's in the kitchen cooking, she used to ask Dhanishta and Rohini to look after the cooking, and she used to climb the stairs and race up to that platform and look for Lala. Is he safe? Is he all right? How is Gopas with him? I hope he's not alone. So she's constantly worried. And he was only allowed to go till as far as Ter Kadamba, which is very not far off from Nandagaon. And we will hear more about Ter Kadamba little down the discussion. So this was his problem. So he knew Krishna was conscious. He had a job to perform because he was only going to be in Nandagaon for probably another 5 years, 10 years, 7 months, and he's gone to Mathura, never to return. But he had to finish his duties. So this is one of the consciousness of Krishna that Acharyas mentioned. Another Acharyas say, Krishna wanted to spend quality time with Nanda Maharaj. Because as we all know, once a child is born, it's basically, or I would say literally close to 99% the responsibility of the mother. From the time it's born to bathing, cleaning, looking after the baby, feeding, putting to sleep, the father really doesn't have much of a role until the time the child actually grows up. And then in a sportive mood, the father starts playing. So the father doesn't come into the picture until a bit later. So Krishna was feeling that Nanda Maharaj, I'm not getting enough association with Nanda Maharaj, and so is Nanda Maharaj not getting enough association with me. So he wanted to take the opportunity of becoming a Gopa, so he could go with Nanda Maharaj, holding his hands to the forest. And then he could have some private association with Nanda Maharaj. So the Acharyas say, Krishna used to hold his hand and go to the forest as an assistant Gopa. He used to hold his hands, go deep in the forest. And Krishna, as we know, was still very naughty. So once they were in the forest, the cows used to start grazing, and basically Nanda Maharaj did not have anything much to do. So he used to sit under the tree. And Krishna, he used to be very naughty. He used to climb on his shoulders, as you can see in the photo in front of you. And he would pull his hair and ask millions of questions. Like he would come up and ask, Baba, what is this fruit? Why is this flower like this? Oh, look, that bird is gazing only at me. Why does monkey have tails? Why is the peahen more beautiful than the peacock? Is it the same reason why Yashoda Maya is more beautiful than you? So these are the kind of questions that our Lala used to amuse Nanda Maharaj with. And when Nanda Maharaj used to feel extremely blissful. So this was another thing that Krishna was conscious of, that he wanted to get that association and give that association to Nanda Maharaj. Now, another Acharya says, no, this is not all. There is more serious reasons than this. Krishna actually wanted to give all the Gopas and the Gopis the Viraha Prem, the flavor of love in separation. I mean, they're all in the mood of spontaneous love, but they have not tasted the flavor of separation, the Vipralamba, the Viraha. So Krishna wanted to give them that and take them to the higher platform. So when he was herding the calves, Krishna would only go for about half a day as far as Ter Kadamba, which is visible from Nanda Bhavan. And after half a day, he used to come back. Again, he used to continue his association with the gopis. So there was no chance of them feeling that separation. The Acharyas say the love in the material world is a law of diminishing margin. It gradually decreases. But the love in Golok Vrindavan, it's always increasing. Like the love now is greater than what it was 2 minutes earlier. As Narad Muni also quotes in the Narada Sutra, he says, the quality of spiritual world is pratikshanam vardhanam, means the love is always increasing. Pratikshanam vardhanam. Of course, it is true that the love of the Gopas and Gopis never diminish. They are constant, but only the flavors differ. So he felt, if I had the cows to herd, then I'll be allowed to go deep into the forest, and these gopis will be eagerly waiting for me. And that is what I want them to feel. And how can we understand this? Let's go to the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Gopi Geet. Dina parikshaye nila kuntalayer vanaruhananam viprahadavritam Gananarta swalam darshayan muhur manasi nasmaram virayachasi. At the end of the day, you repeatedly show us your lotus face, covered with dark blue locks of hair and thickly powdered with dust. Thus, O hero, you arouse lusty desires in our minds. By the way, the gopis are singing this. Atatiyat bhavan ahnikananam truti yugayate tvam apasyatam kutila kuntalam srimukam chate jada udikshatam pakshma kridrisham. When you go off to the forest during the day, a tiny fraction of a second becomes like a millennium for us because we cannot see you. And when we can eagerly look upon your beautiful face, so lovely with its adornment of curly locks, our pleasure is hindered by our eyelids, which were fashioned by the foolish creator Brahma. So you can see how Krishna is trying to create the separation in the gopis, which is evident from these two verses of the Gopi Geet. And they actually curse that whole day you're away, and then we get to see the most beautiful sight of your face covered with the dust of Vraj, disturbed by the hooves of the cow. So many millions, 900,000 cows are coming through. And while we're drinking the beauty of your face with our eyes, this foolish Brahma has created the eyelids which come and fall in between. Even though it is just mentioned for 1/700,000th of a second, still they curse Brahma. So this is the mode of separation that Krishna wanted to create for them. Now, it is not just the gopis who are experiencing the mode of separation. It is also the Gopas. How come? The Gopas spend the day with Krishna, all day herding in the forest. But what happens in the evening? So when they return, and it is said they return normally between 5:30 to 6 p.m. So when they return, the Gopas all go back to their respective homes. So from that time, they don't have darshan of Krishna till the next morning, sunrise. And that is the time they feel the separation. And one pastime, which is quite popular, is that of Subal. So it once so happened that Subal in the night was missing Krishna very much. And he came and knocked the door of Nanda Bhavan. And he requested Yashoda Maya. Yashoda Maya opened the door and she saw Subal in tears. And she inquired, "What happened? Why are you crying? And what brings you here at this time of the night?" So he said, "I'm missing Krishna. I cannot wait till morning. Please help me." So then Yashoda Maya thought, what could be done? And she thought of an idea. She said, "I will give you a painting of Krishna. And you can hold that to your heart through the night until you see Krishna in the next morning." And he agreed. So now who was the person who could draw Krishna? The best person that at that time was Chitra Sakhi. As the name implies, Chitra, she was an expert artist. So Yashoda Maya approached Chitra Sakhi and she agreed. And she sat down to draw Krishna for Subal, Saka. She closed her eyes, imagined Krishna, opened her eyes and started drawing a little bit. And then she again went back, closed her eyes to see Krishna, and there was a problem. And the problem was that two things were happening. Every time she closed her eyes to meditate on Krishna, it's just like how an artist, if he's asked to draw a portrait of somebody, he asks us to sit in front of him and in a stationary position, and they draw. But we have to be stationary for the time that he finishes. But with Krishna, what was happening to Chitra Sakhi was every time she closes, Krishna, he's very restless by nature. His eye position and his expressions were changing. Now, how can she draw if Krishna keeps changing every time she closes her eyes? So that was a problem. Number two, second problem was she could not ascertain the true color of Krishna to replicate on the photo, on the painting. She was helpless. So she thought of it, and she thought, Srimati Radharani is the only person who can help me in this regard. And she approached Radharani for her mercy. And Radharani said, "No problem. Look into my eyes and you will understand the true color of Krishna." Now we have seen, even with the Shri Radha Giridhari, what is the color of Srimati Radharani's the eyeballs? It is bluish because of looking at Krishna all the time. So Chitra Sakhi could actually ascertain the color from looking into Srimati Radharani's eyes. And now she understood the true color. And then by Radharani's mercy, this time when she came back and started imagining, closing her eyes, Krishna did not move. So that way, she was able to complete and hand over that picture to Subal, and Subal was satisfied. So we can see it was the gopis and the gopas, in the mood of separation. So this is what Krishna wanted to create, to give them that ecstasy of Viraha Prem. Now, it's not just the gopas and gopis. Krishna is also thinking of the cows. Because until he was 5, what was happening was Krishna used to take the calves. And when the calves came back, the calves would give an account to their mothers, the cows, of all the leelas that Krishna did back in the forest. And they would go, oh, Krishna swam with the swans. He was sounding like a cuckoo. He was holding my tails and he used to run behind me. He used to pull my tails. So hearing all these, the cows' mood of separation was increased. They also hankered for Krishna's association. And every morning when Krishna used to visit the Goshala, the cows used to ask, Krishna, when will the time come that we could get the association that our calves are getting right now? And Krishna always used to say, do not worry, I'm working on it and I promise to take you. So he had this commitment in his mind as well. He had to accomplish. Now, it's not just the calves and the cows. Krishna himself also, Acharya say, is hankering for that Goprem. He wants to spend quality time with the cows as well. And how can we understand this? Let's go to the pages of Brihat Bhagavatamrita. In that we can hear Gopakumara searching for Krishna. He travels all the way and reaches Golok Vrindavan. And when he inquires there about Krishna, he's been told Krishna has gone for grazing. Now that's his pastime. Krishna has to graze. And he's continuing that same activity in Bhauma Vrindavan as well. He has to go grazing because that is his eternal duty. And his cow is the Surabhi cow, one of his primary cows. So Gopakumara understood that Krishna had gone grazing. So Krishna wants to continue that activity in Bhauma Vrindavan as well. But currently he's not allowed to go because his parents are not accommodating yet. Now, if we think about it for a second, everything attached to Krishna starts with Go. That shows how affectionate he is towards the cows. His planet is called Golok. His Bhauma Vrindavan is called Gokul. His mountain of pastimes is called Govardhan. His girlfriends are called Gopis. His name is Govinda and Gopal. His boyfriends are called Gopa. He's also called Gopala. So he's got very close association with the cows. But now he's not been allowed to experience that. And he wants to experience that Goprem. So that is another reason that he's thinking about. Now, not just that, not just the Gopas, Gopis, cows, and Krishna himself hankering for the Prem. It is also in the forest, what do we find? We find trees, vines, all the different kinds of animals and birds. Now, who are these? The Acharyas say, these are the eternal Nitya Siddha devotees. And some of them are also pure devotees who have undergone lifetimes after lifetime, thousand and more lifetimes of tapasya to attain that position to become that tree, that vine, that bird out there. Why? To have their association with Krishna and to get an opportunity to serve Krishna. So they are also in the mood of separation there, waiting in the forest. Hey Krishna, hey Lala, when will you grow up? When will you come and visit us so we can serve you? So Krishna has got this also in his mind. When will Dwapar Yuga come? When will Krishna come to the forest and will reciprocate with us? Because we hear that whenever Krishna goes to the forest, everything in the forest suddenly feel very blissful. Because as Krishna caresses the trees and the vines, they become very blissful and they shed tears in the form of the honey of the trees. And it is Acharyas explain that the trees, the tall trees, they bow down to Krishna, to his feet, and they offer the flowers and fruits that they have to offer. But then they think, hey, I am a servant of Krishna. I'm supposed to do my duty of giving shade to Krishna. What am I doing at his feet? So immediately they start going up. They climb up and they start going up to give shade to Krishna. And when they go higher and higher, then they think, oh, hang on. Now I'm so separated from Krishna. I've been hankering for Krishna to come here all this while, and now I'm so far high. No. Let me go down again. So they come down again, closer to Krishna. And they think, Are, what am I doing? I'm thinking about my own sense gratification that I want to be close to Krishna. But no, it is my duty to serve Krishna. So then they go back again. So this is the mood of pure love of those trees in the forest of Braj. This is the transcendental sentiments of love that they go through. Yeah, it has explained. And Krishna is, as we know, Kunja Bihari, as we hear in the song Jai Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari. Krishna provides happiness to all these vines and forests, and they feel ever blissful. Whenever, for example, the cuckoo sees Krishna coming through, entering the forest, cuckoo sings in the fifth note. And the fifth note is termed as by the acharyas to bring about the highest sentiments of love when the cuckoo sings in the fifth note. In the same way, the peacocks, when they see the bluish black form of Krishna coming through, they think of it as a dark rain cloud and they start dancing. They become blissful. And the wind, in a joyful mood, carries all the pollen from the lotus flowers to the forest of Braj. And the deers, they start gazing at Krishna in amusement. And Krishna also reciprocates with all of them. How? But in two ways, in three ways actually. By glancing at them, by giving them that merciful glance, by dancing with them, and by playing the flute. So Krishna reciprocates with them. And it's not just them. Krishna didn't want to just take the cows this time. He also took with them, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport of 10.15.1, he was allowed to take even the bulls and the oxen to the forest. So now, that's not all. Krishna is also conscious of Bhumi Devi. How so? Acharyas explain, Bhumi Devi is feeling that she is the one who initiated everything because of which Krishna appeared. Because if we retrace our steps back, she was the one who went to Indra, tormented by the atrocities of Kamsa. And then she visited eventually Svetadweep and requested Krishna to come down to save Mother Earth from the atrocities of Kamsa and other demons. But she's thinking, I've done all this and Krishna is here, but I'm not getting any association from Krishna. How come? He is never putting his feet on my head, on the earth. Because until 5 years old, he's always on the lap of Mother Yashoda. So when will I get my turn? When will Krishna show his mercy on me? When will he put his feet on my head so that all his 19 signs of his lotus feet get imprinted on the ground? So this is another thing that Krishna is conscious of, that he has to reciprocate. Again, let's go back to Gopi Geet that reflects this. Jayata tedikam janmana vraja Shrayata indira shashvatatrahi Daita drishyatam dikshutavakas Tvaidrita savas tvam vichinvate. The gopis said, "Oh beloved, your birth in the land of Vraja has made it exceedingly glorious, and thus Indira, the goddess of fortune, always resides here. It is only for your sake that we, your devoted servants, maintain our lives. We have been searching everywhere for you, so please show yourself to us." So gopis are saying, your birth in the land of Vraja has made it exceedingly glorious. And this is what Bhumi Devi is hankering for. Not just Gopi Geet. There's also a verse in Venu Geet. Barha pidam natavaravapu karnayo karani karam Vibradvasa kanaka kapisham vaijayantim chamalam Randran venor adara sudaya purayan gopa vrindair Vrindaranyam swapadaramanam pravishat kirtihi. Accompanied by his cowherd friends, Shyamasundar entered the forest of Vrinda Devi. Please, if I can request all devotees to imagine this as we read through. Accompanied by his cowherd friends, Shyamasundar entered the forest of Vrinda Devi. His head was decorated with a peacock feather. He wore yellow Karanikara flowers over his ears, a dazzling golden yellow garment on his body, and a fragrant Vaijayanti garland made of 5 kinds of flowers hung from his neck down to his knees. Splendidly attired as a beautiful Natavara, a most expert dancer, he appeared just like a very fine actor on stage. He poured the nectar of his lips through the holes of his flute, and the cowherd boys followed behind him, singing his glories. In this way, the land of Vrindavan was even more charming than Vaikuntha due to being beautified by Sri Krishna's lotus feet marked with conch, disc, and other symbols. So we can see how beautiful Krishna is as he enters the forest. And we can understand why everybody in the forest are hankering for his appearance there. This, dear Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, this is real Vrindavan. This is what we are also hankering for. The Acharyas say Krishna has actually hidden his mercy in the dust of Vrindavan. So if Krishna's mercy is hidden in the dust of Vrindavan, then one may ask, what about Mayapur? What about Jagannath Puri? The Acharyas explain, in Mayapur, the mercy is in chanting the holy names. And in Jagannath Puri, yes, the mercy is in the Mahaprasad. Now, another Acharya comes around and says, it is also to do with his friends. Because his friends, the Gopas, they sometimes tease Krishna. They say, hey, Krishna, you are big enough, but why is the responsibility not given to you of herding the cows by your parents? It seems like they don't have confidence in you. When I was 8 years old, they used to give me the responsibility. But at the same time, the Gopas knew that Krishna was 5 now, and because he's aging faster, he's almost close to 8 and he should be eligible. So they used to tease him. Now, the Sakhas or the Gopas of Krishna, there are different categories. There are some Gopas who are elder than Krishna, some younger, and some of the same age. The Gopas who are elder to Krishna, they are called Suhrid Shaka. And they are normally the well-wishers of Krishna. They protect, they're sometimes strict with Krishna, sometimes even chastise Krishna because they're elder. And examples of such Sakhas are Balram, Mahabhima, and Mahaguna. The younger Sakhas are called Sadharan Sakhas. And their jobs are normally to serve him, massage him, pat him, decorate him, etc. Some examples are Vishal, Chandan, Kushumapida, etc. And in the photo on your screen, you can see that little Gopa who's helping Krishna in a Shringar is actually Vishal, who is a younger Sadharan Sakha. So this is Sadharan Sakhas. But then you also have Sakhas who are the same age of Krishna, and they are called Priya Sakhas. And they are actually the very close friends of Krishna. An example, Madhumangal, Stoka Krishna, Sudama, Sridham, etc. And their job is to crack jokes, make Krishna laugh, and have fun. For example, sometimes Madhumangal used to tell Krishna, hey Krishna, if you give me 2 laddus, I will bless you that you will get the mercy of Srimati Radharani. And Krishna used to go, why 2? I'll give you 4. But please, help me get the association of Srimati Radharani. Then you have the most intimate Sakhas of Krishna, and they are called Priya Narma Sakhas. Priya Narma Sakhas. And why are they the most intimate? Because it is only with them that Krishna reciprocates his innermost feelings of separation from Srimati Radharani, and sometimes even goes to the extent of requesting or begging for their assistance in creating a situation whereby they could meet. And also to pass on communications between the gopis, the gopi friends of Srimati Radharani, so that Krishna and Srimati Radharani could meet somewhere and have their pastimes. So they are Priya Narma Sakhis. And the leader of the Priya Narma Sakhis is Subal. And the others are Ujjwal, Vasant, Gandharva, etc. So these are the different categories of friends. And because they were teasing like this, that Krishna, hey, although you are old enough, you're not being given, this used to bother Krishna, and he wanted to prove them right by getting the responsibility back. Now, Acharyas also say Balram was no different. He also used to tease Krishna. He used to tell Krishna, Krishna, you are not born to Nanda Maharaja and Yashoda Maiya. And Krishna used to go, how so? How can you come to that conclusion? And Balram used to say, look, they are fair, but you are dark. And another Gopa used to say, oh, you know what, Krishna, you were not really born to them. They bought you in a tula baram, the weighing scale. They kept the grains on one side and they kept you on the other, and that's how they actually bought you. So this used to infuriate Krishna from within. I mean, these are all pastimes, transcendental pastimes. And another Gopa used to say, oh, Krishna, Nanda Maharaj actually found you inside a hull of a tree, and that's how you came about. So he used to get very, very angry. And he went back that day back to Nanda Bhavan, and he didn't speak to anybody, went to his room. Yashoda Maiya sensed something was wrong and approached him and inquired. And he said, oh, Balram speaks like this to me. He's so mean to me. And Yashoda Maiya goes, Balram, did you say all these things to him and infuriated him? Balram says, no. But Yashoda Maiya, don't you know about Krishna? He is the eternal liar. He always steals butter but never admits. He always says he never steals. So what's different? He's again lying this time also. But somehow Yashoda Maiya in the end agreed. Krishna explained that to earn the respect of his friends back, he needs to be given the responsibility. So Yashoda Maiya finally agreed to give him the responsibility. But then she said there's one condition though. We have to call a priest and find out the muhurat, the auspicious day and time when you can be allowed to take the cows. Now, as soon as Krishna heard that, Krishna's Leela Shakti comes into play. The next very moment, the priest walks in to Nanda Bhavan. This is Krishna's mystic potency. And the priest informed that on the 8th lunar day of the waxing moon in Kartik, it was a Wednesday, we can allow Krishna to go to the forest with the cows. Now, it was festival time. In Vraj, anything Krishna does is a big festival. Krishna speaks the first word, reason for festival. Krishna turns around for the first time, it's a festival. So, and this particular occasion was no small thing. First time he was going to be given the responsibility of cows. Acharya say it was a 3-day festival, not 1 day, as is celebrated today. It was actually a 3-day festival. And in Gopal Champu, Srila Jiva Goswami states, and I quote, if the speaker has 10,000 mouths and has a lifespan of 10,000 years, he will still be able to explain only 1 day of the festival of the 3 days of Gopashtami. End quote. So we can imagine how grand this festival could have been back in time. So the day came, time for Krishna to leave. So Krishna was very well decorated with tilak, with dhoti, and he was given a stick to herd the cows, his bugle, and all the cows, they were also very well decorated with bells, with pearl necklaces, with silk chadars, anklets made with flowers, and tails were decorated, peacock feathers, laces, whatnot, the Acharyas explained. Now Krishna is ready to leave. And Nanda Maharaj, every time there's a festival, Nanda Maharaj is known for his charitable nature. He engaged a lot of his servants to distribute charity to all the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas were chanting mantras as Krishna was about to depart to the forest. Now Krishna, Acharya say, is called Utsava Priya. Shivaji is called Abhishek Priya. And Vishnu is called Alankar Priya, and Krishna is called Utsava Priya. How so? Shiva is called Abhishek Priya because we can always see there is milk always dripping on Shiva's linga. So he's Abhishek Priyam. He loves Abhishek. Vishnu is Alankar Priyan, very opulent. He always likes to be dressed in a very opulent manner, gold, necklaces, etc. Whereas Krishna, he loves festivals. So that is why in Vraj, every little thing is the cause of a big festival. So Acharyas explained in the same way, if we in our homes and in our hearts hold a festival for Krishna every day, then Krishna has no reason to leave us. So how can we have a festival of Krishna? Very easy. Offer bhoga, arti, things that Srila Prabhupada has already given us. Chant and dance, put him on a swing. The point is, keep him busy so he doesn't leave. This is what the Acharyas quote. Now, there is one little very interesting pastime that the Acharyas explained. They say, when the day came that Krishna had to leave, Yashoda Maya, now everything with Krishna is big in Raj. So Yashoda Maya, seeing that Krishna is the most talked about personality in Raj, and everybody is eagerly waiting for this day, she decided to dress Krishna up like a prince with crowns and opulent jewels and clothing. Now Krishna was hesitant, but it's Yashoda Maya. He cannot say anything. So anyway, he got dressed and he walked out of Nanda Bhavan. And as he walked out, all the Gopas are waiting. They burst into laughter and laughter. They couldn't stop laughing to the extent that their stomach was aching. Krishna witnessed this and he felt a little embarrassed, to be honest. But then what did the Gopas do? The Gopas immediately took him on the side, took all his opulent clothing off, dressed him as a simple Gopa with his turban, with some flowers and a peacock feather. And now they said, this is our Lala. And then he was allowed to leave. Now, Krishna did not forget the laughing of the Gopas. He wanted to get even. So what did he do? As they left and went into the forest a little bit, they rested for a little bit under a tree. And the Acharyas explained, in front of Krishna, at a distance, he could see there is a little pond. And beyond that, there were some trees with a lot of flowers. So while the Gopas were resting, Krishna went to the pond, used a lot of leaves to cover that little pond. So it looked as if it was ground. He came back and told the Gopas, hey, can you please go and get me the flowers from the other side, from the far side, on the other side. And let's see who, and Gopas always have this competition. Who comes back and touches Krishna first? I'm sure a lot of us have heard this pastimes like this. They always have this running competition. Whoever goes and fetches something and touches Krishna first, things like that. So Krishna said, let's see who can go and get the flowers and come back to me first. So all the Gopas with full enthusiasm started running. Little did they know that that pond is actually not land, it's actually a pond. And everybody fell in. And Krishna had he got even with them. And he burst out. So it's a very nice pastime the Acharyas explained. Now, on this day of Gopashtami, there is another festival that also gets celebrated. And it is called Go Krida. And this generally happens just after the rainy season. Because in the rainy season, the cows are generally contained within the Goshala. They have not seen the green pastures. But now, for the first time, they're able to come out of the Goshala and walk and run on those lush green pastures and jump up in the air and have fun. So this is called Go Krida. So everything Krishna does is a festival. It's big. So the conch was blown, and Krishna, along with the cows, headed into the forest very jubilantly, as you can see on the right-hand side. All the Gopas and the 900,000 cows. And Krishna has finally got his association with the cows, as you can see on your left-hand side, top left. Now, while Krishna leaves and enters the forest a little bit, Yashoda Maya, out of her paternal affection, she calls out, "Oh, Lala, Lala, please come, please come." Krishna comes running back to Yashoda Maya. "Yes, Maya, what happened?" "Oh, Lala, your turban is not okay. Let me just adjust it." "Okay, Maya, now I shall leave." Krishna takes 2 steps. Again, Yashoda Maya calls him back. Krishna goes, "Yes, Maya, what now?" "Oh, Krishna, in your box, I've packed Sandesh, Gulab Jamun and Rasgulla. Please have it, huh?" "Okay, Maya." Krishna takes another few steps. Again, Yashoda Maya calls him back. "Lala, please be careful. Don't fall and get hurt. And don't go near the Yamuna. You might fall inside." "Maya, please." He starts begging now. He starts pleading. "Please let me go." But the paternal affection, what can you do? Yashoda Maya again calls Krishna. Now Krishna's a little bit getting worked up. "Maya, Krishna said, then Yashoda Maya goes, no, I'm calling Balram, Sridham, and Subal, not you. So please send them. So they come to Yashoda Maya. And Yashoda Maya says, please be careful with Krishna. You please stay on the left side of Krishna. You please stay on the right side of Krishna. And one of you stay on the front of Krishna. And please keep an eye on my Lala. This is your responsibility. And finally, she lets them go. So very beautifully, the Acharyas explain in the Gopal Champu and Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Now, Krishna's in the forest, enjoying with the cows and the trees and the vines. But there is a problem. What is the problem? When he was herding the calves, he only used to go till up to Ter Kadamba, which is quite nearby, visible distance from Nanda Bhavan. And only half a day, about lunchtime, he used to either play his flute, and the gopis used to come to the Ter Kadamba to give him butter, to feed him butter. Or he would come back home, maximum half a day, that's it, he'll be out. He'll come back home and he would have association of gopis and Srimati Radharani. But now he is deep in the forest and he's there for the whole day. He is feeling separation from Srimati Radharani. Now, how to solve this problem? So he calls his Priya Narma Saka, Subal, who is the chief of the intimate Sakas. He tells Subal, I need association of Srimati Radharani. Can you please do something? And he even went to the extent of blackmailing him. If you don't do something, I'm going to jump into the Yamuna and give up my life. Now, when Krishna says something like that, the Gopas cannot stand that, especially Subal, because he's very intimate to Krishna. So he said, okay, I will try. So what does he do? He takes a calf and he goes to Yavat. That is where Jatila and Kutila are. Jatila is the mother-in-law of Srimati Radharani. Now, in the courtyard of the Yavat palace, Jatila is sitting there. She's quite an old woman, mother-in-law, mother of Abhimanyu, who was married to Srimati Radharani. So the Acharyas explain, Subal went there with a little calf and he was loitering for a little while outside the gate and he led the calf outside so that Jatila could actually see the calf roaming here and there for a while. And then Subal comes in. And immediately Jatila goes, is that black guy with you as well? Because she's always worried. She does not want to have Krishna anywhere near Srimati Radharani. I mean, this is a transcendental pastime to spice up. As they say, variety is a spice of life. So they're just performing these transcendental activities to increase the pleasure of Krishna in his pastimes with Srimati Radharani. So Jatila, is a black boy with you? I hope not. Subal says, no. It's just that my calf has roamed around somewhere here. It's lost and I've come searching for him. I hope it's not gone inside your home or something. She says, no, I've been here sitting in the courtyard all morning. No, I haven't seen him. But please, can you go inside and check again for me? Jatila goes, no. I've just had a heavy meal and I'm resting. If you want, you go and check, but make your way quickly out. Subal says, okay. So he managed to get in, meets Srimati Radharani in her room and expresses Krishna's desire to have association with Srimati Radharani. And then they hatch a plan out. Subal, his quality is that he looks very similar to Srimati Radharani. If both are dressed the same, you can't tell them apart. That was a unique quality of Subal. So Subal suggested, why don't we swap our vesh? You take my clothes, I'll wear yours, and I'll stay back as Srimati Radharani. And you, dressed as me, that is Subal, you make your way out to Krishna in the forest. They agreed. All the dresses and everything exchanged. Flute passed on, bugle passed on. So now Srimati Radharani is dressed as Subal Saka. That is why it's called Subal Saka Vesh. And that is why we see on your photo on the left-hand side today, on this day, Srimati Radharani is dressed as a Gopa, that is Subal Saka. So she comes out as Subal now to the courtyard, thanks Jatila, and Jatila doesn't recognize that because she's dressed as Subal. And she goes to the forest to have association with Krishna. Now, over in the forest, Radharani thinks of a plan. She always likes being naughty with Krishna as well, like Krishna always is with her. So she goes there. Now, remember, she's dressed as Subal. So so Radharani as Subal goes to Krishna with a dull and gloomy face and says, Krishna, I'm sorry. I couldn't help you. I was not able to bring Srimati Radharani. But can I get you Chandravali? Is that okay? And Krishna laments out, "No, I want only Srimati Radharani. I do not want Chandravali. Please get me Srimati Radharani. Otherwise I will die here." And Radharani in Subalvesh now feels exuberant. She feels enthused, very blissful, and she gives up her wish, and they both have a great laugh. Meanwhile, who's stuck there in Yavat? Subal is stuck there as Srimati Radharani. Now, how to extricate him from there? So Radharani hatches a plan. She tells her gopis, "Go to Yavat, tell Jatila that you guys have to perform Surya Puja and you've come to take Srimati Radharani." And that way Jatila will give the permission. So the gopis went, told Jatila, "We have come to take Srimati Radharani. Please give her permission to come with us so that we all go to and go into Surya Puja." Now Jatila will not say no to Surya Puja ever to Srimati Radharani, because she knows that by doing Surya Puja, the life of her husband increases, which is Abhimanyu, Jatila's son. So she let Radharani go. She let Radharani, which is actually Subal, dressed as Radharani. This is the way he came out as well and escaped from there. So very nice pastime the Acharyas explained. Now, if you look at the bottom left of Srimati Radharani dressed as a Gopa, this is the day that the feet of Srimati Radharani is visible. One of the only days that her feet is visible. And Acharyas explained the very nice pastime how this came about. They say, once when Krishna was in the forest herding the cows, Srimati Radharani was on the Govardhan hill. And from a distance, she could see Krishna herding the cows. And she ran down Govardhan hill to approach Krishna. And you know, when somebody's wearing gagra, when they try to run with the gagra on, there's a good chance that it'll trip them. So she raises her gagra a little bit just to give her that room to run freely. So, and at that time, all the Vrajavasis had a glimpse of her lotus feet. So hence, on this day, and this happened on this day, hence on this day, the tradition is that sometimes her feet is shown. Now, Krishna spent the day in the forest. It's time for him to get back home. And this is about, he generally comes back about 5:30 to 6 p.m. And his stopover is at Ter Kadamba. We heard earlier, I think a day or two ago, Nanda Prabhu explained how he felt very blissful visiting this place. And yes, it is indeed. Now, why is it called Ter Kadamba? Ter means calling. Kadamba means the Kadamba tree that you can see on your screen in the middle top photo. Now, Ter Kadamba is a very special place for quite a few reasons. The first reason is that in the morning, when Krishna leaves to the forest, he would go and sit on top of the tree of Ter Kadamba, and he used to play his flute. And this flute calling is for all the Gopas to come. So they all assemble in Ter Kadamba together, once everybody is there, then they make way to the forest. So that is the first reason in the morning where Krishna plays his flute in Ter Kadamba. In the afternoon, while he was herding the calf, as we heard earlier, he used to play the flute, and that was a signal for the gopis in Nanda Bhavan to come and serve him butter. So that was in the afternoon. Second play of the flute in Ter Kadamba. And the third one is in the evening on his way back from the forest. Again, he'll stop at Ter Kadamba. Why? So that he could play his flute to gather and make sure all the cows are back assembled in Ter Kadamba, and then they will all make their way together to Nandagaon. Now, Krishna, as we know, he was looking after 900,000 cows of Nanda Maharaj. And it is said these 900,000 cows were divided into 108 groups. And Krishna used to carry a bead around his neck with 108 beads in it, and studded with gold and diamond and rubies and sapphires, 108 beads on them. And that's how he used to keep track of all the cows. And it is also said that these 108 groups of cows were further divided into 25 divisions of each. And just to name a few, they were classified as pregnant cows, younger cows, cows with younger calves, cows with older calves, male ones, etc. And they also used to be classified according to the colors as well. And the Acharyas explain the white cows, to name a few, were Mukta, Ganga, Shweta, and there were black cows, Shamli, Dumli, Jamuna, yellow cows, Pitabari, Harini, Pingala, and there were red cows as well. And some cows were classified as spotted cows, and some were speckled. And some cows were also Mridanga face. So there was a group of Mridanga faced cows as well. And some cows had original tilak on them. So this is how there was different groups classified, and Krishna used to keep track. And Krishna, when he plays the flute, he had a special tune for each of those cows when he called them from their kadamba. And he could identify and see who's missing and call for them, and only that particular cow will respond to the tune. So imagine the skill of Krishna's flute playing. But sometimes it so happens that some of the cows are pretty smart. Even after Krishna from their kadamba calling, they will not come. Most of them will come, some will intentionally stay back. Two examples Acharya's quote are Aruna and Pingala. They intentionally didn't respond to Krishna calling from their kadamba. And Krishna then used to go back into the forest to fetch them. And after he reaches there, he used to caress them, cajole them, bring them back. Now, why did they do this? Why did Aruna and Pingala do this? Because when they came back to Nandagaon, they would boast with all the other cows that, hey, listen, I had personal association with Krishna. He came and he touched me, he caressed me. So this is why some cows used to play, the Acharyas explain. Now, Ter Kadamba is also the place where, as we know, was Srila Rupa Goswami's sat, and he compiled all his books and transcendental literatures. And he used to sometimes, in his ecstasy, he used to cry, and the tears used to go down the ground, and the Ter Kadamba tree used to absorb those tears through the roots. And it went, the Kadamba tree also went into ecstasy. It is explained. That is why this Ter Kadamba, this place is very, very important. And on the top right-hand side, you can see there's a kund there. This is called Krishna Balaram Kund. This is where the Gopas used to play, and the cows and calves, they used to drink water, and they used to rest for some time and refresh themselves before heading back into Nandagaon. Now, they are on the way back to Nandagaon. That is a concern for the Gopas. Now, Krishna has spent whole day outside. He's tired. If he goes back home with his tired-looking face, if Yashoda Maya happens to see Krishna like this, then the Gopas were worried that next day she might not let him go to the forest out of parental affection. So what they used to do before they left their Kadamba, they used to incite Krishna and make him laugh. They used to crack jokes. And who better than Madhu Mangal? Acharya has explained that Krishna was enlivened here in Ter Kadamba before heading into Nandagaon. So Krishna returns, as we can see, with all the 900,000 cows on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, we can see all the gopis are jubilant. They are ecstatic. Whole day they've been out. They have missed Krishna's association, and they're glad to have him back. Now, whenever Krishna does something, there's always something for us to learn. And what is that from this episode? Now, Krishna, he loves his cows. We love Krishna. So everything that he loves becomes very dear to us also. Krishna loves the cows. He loves the Yamuna, Tulsi Devi, Giri Govardhan. So we also love them and we worship them. Now, looking through the pages of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a lot of references relating to cows and why it's so important. Just to touch upon a few. We'll go on the left-hand side, and then we go to the right-hand side. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitaya Jagadithaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. My Lord, you're the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmanas, and you're the well-wisher of the entire human society. And then, as we all have heard before, there are 7 mothers, and one of them is the cow. And Lord Krishna also says, he's very inclined to the Brahmanas and the cows, indicating that thereby human prosperity depends only on these 2 items, namely the Brahmanical culture and cow protection. See, again, the cow protection Krishna stresses in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:8-21. And in Bhagavad Gita, which most of us know, farming, cow protection, and business, Krishna makes a statement, are the natural work for the Vaishyas. And Srimad Bhagavatam 8:24-5, without protection of cows, Brahmanical culture cannot be maintained. And without Brahmanical culture, the aim of life cannot be fulfilled. And the aim of life is spiritual emancipation. And Srimad Bhagavatam 6:18-52, one cannot become spiritually advanced without acquiring the Brahmanical qualifications and giving protection to the cows. Now, not just Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, also Chaitanya Charitamrita. when the dialogue happens between Chand Kazi and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu states, "Hey Kazi, you drink cow's milk. Therefore, the cow is your mother, and the bull produces grains for your maintenance. Therefore, he's your father. Since the bull and the cow are your mother and father, how can you kill and eat them?" So you can see Krishna is stressing on this cow and cow protection everywhere. And as we know, milk is the miracle food. So how do we worship cows on this day? Srimad Bhagavatam 11:43, Krishna states to Uddhava, and we'll just focus on the highlighted 2 lines for want of time. Krishna says, "I can be worshipped within the cows by offering of grass and other suitable grains and paraphernalia for the pleasure and health of the cows. And one may worship me within the Vaishnavas by offering a loving friendship to them and honoring them in all respects." And on the left-hand side, in this little diagram, you can see how the cows are beneficial to us. Going in a clockwise direction from the top, cow gives milk, Panchagavya. It acts as a fuel. It's a great fertilizer. It acts as a good manure. It is also used in Ayurveda, interestingly, and it serves as biogas. Now, interestingly, I read an article yesterday, a statement came in the news from BMW. I think it's in Europe. They have agreed to use biogas as a means to charge the electric vehicles, which are the future, to save the environment. So that's biogas again. BMW has come out with this news yesterday. So we can see the importance of cows, how cows serve us in every possible way in our sustenance. Now, what is the name of the transcendental cow in the Golok Vrindavan? It's Surabhi. And another word for Surabhi is Havirdani, the Acharyas explained, means source of butter, which is then further used to make many, many, many things. Now, Srila Prabhupada, he also stressed upon, and what did he stress upon? Srila Prabhupada quotes, "Our farm projects are an extremely important part of our movement. We must become self-sufficient by growing our own grains and producing our own milk. Then there will be no question of poverty. So let's develop these farm communities as far as possible. They should be developed as an ideal society depending on natural products, not industry." And I can recollect Nitya Gopal Prabhu also, I think a week ago, made this point. So on this day, all around the world, including and especially in Vraj, the cows are worshipped. And this actually is a courtesy, these pictures are courtesy of Raghuvi Prabhu Jr., who so kindly arranged for these pictures just an hour ago from Vrindavan. Some of these are pictures, some of these are videos. So cows are fed, they're worshipped. There's a nice procession of decorated cows that goes through Braj. And on the bottom right-hand side, you can see this cow actually goes into the temple of Radha Banabihari. This is near the Kusum Sarovar. And the Radha Banabihari temple is the temple where Shri Krishna braided the hair of Srimati Radharani and placed flowers on her head. So this is how cows are worshipped on this day. Now, there's a very interesting pastime, the milking pastime. Acharya has explained that once Krishna was in the Goshala milking the cows. And Acharya has explained that Krishna was dressed beautifully. He was on his toes, bent down under the cow, and he had a golden pitcher, golden jeweled pitcher under the cow. And he was milking the cows. And first what he did, and this is being explained by Vishaka Sakhi from a distance on top of a tower, and Srimati Radharani is hiding behind Vishaka Sakhi, secretly looking at Krishna. And Vishaka Sakhi is explaining what's going on, that Krishna is dressed so beautifully. He's got this standing, he's down to his toes, and he's got this golden pitcher. And what he does is he takes first he milks the cow, and he sprays it first onto the Mother Earth to worship Mother Earth. And then he moistens his hands with that milk. And then he secures the milk. And as the milk falls into the pitcher, it makes a beautiful melodious sound. And when Krishna looks into the picture, it feels as if a moon has risen from the ocean of milk, which is the milk inside the pitcher. So it appears like a moon rising from an ocean of milk in the pitcher. And Srimati Radharani feels very blissful hearing this. So while this is happening, Krishna every day can milk only certain cows. He cannot milk all the cows. So as soon as he comes in, and he actually calls a name, hey Govinda, hey Kalindi, come around, come on. So all the cows, apart from these two, also jump on each other and try to come to seek the association of Krishna. And Krishna only milks some of them. The others, his Gopas take care of. And one of the Gopas tells Krishna, Krishna, look up there. Srimati Radharani is secretly looking at you. So Krishna immediately stops his service and he silently goes and catches up with Srimati Radharani and catches them red-handed looking at him. So very nicely, this is explained by the Acharyas. So on this day, we should all take the opportunity to serve, feed the cows, shelter them, worship them, and pray to the cows that on this day, that one day in the future, we may be able to attain the innermost association of Krishna's loving pastimes and his devotees. So with this, I would like to conclude the session today. And if we've got just 5 minutes with the permission of everybody present here, today being the disappearance day of 3 of our Acharyas, Shri Srinivas Acharya, Shri Gadadhar Das Goswami, and Shri Dhananjaya Pandita, I just want to share a few points. Would that be all right, Prabhuji and Matajis?
Yes, Prabhuji, go ahead.
Thank you. So first, let's talk about Shri Gadadhar Das Goswami. Now, Gadadhar Das Goswami is different to Gadadhar Pandit. So this is Shri Gadadhar Das Goswami. He appeared in Bengal and he stayed at a place called Iriya Dahagram. And he was an associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and a very, very close associate of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And in his early days, it is said he served Sri Sachi Mata and Vishnupriya. And when they left their bodies, he actually moved to Katwa, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his sannyas. And he established a temple over there with a deity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is said that this deity was special in the fact that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come in his dream and ordered him to arrange for 3 deities from one single Nimba tree. And this was one of the deities. And also in the same temple, there is also a half height to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's a Balram Deity. So how did this Balram Deity turn up here? It is explained that another associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Meenaketana Ramdas, he used to carry an altar on his back, and the altar weighed about 20 kilos. He used to carry that altar on his back everywhere with Balram Deity on it. And as he grew older and he could no longer take the weight of that 20 kilo altar, at that time he passed on this Balram Deity to be looked after by Sri Gadadhar Das Goswami, and Balramji was installed in this temple as well. And it is said that Nityananda Prabhu lives in the heart of Sri Gadadhar Das Goswami. And there's another pastime in this temple. There was also a Laddu Gopal deity in this temple. And once Nityananda Prabhu visited this temple, and seeing the Laddu Gopal deity, Nityananda Prabhu took this deity and held it against his chest. And he developed ecstatic symptoms. And he started dancing in ecstasy. And at that time, everybody around whom Nityananda Prabhu looked at were transported to the transcendental platform. And they also felt that same ecstatic symptoms, completely oblivious to their external environment. And they basically lost consciousness of their physical body. So just by Nityananda Prabhu looking at them, they developed the ecstatic symptoms, transcendental love. So that was a very nice pastime. And also, Chand Kazi. Everybody, if you recollect, were afraid to go and meet Chand Kazi. But it was Sri Gadadhar Das Goswami at one point of time. This was before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Chand Kazi. Sri Gadadhar Das Goswami, once when he was ecstatically chanting in that ecstasy, he walked to the door of Chand Kazi. And he said, he called out, Kazi, Kazi, come out. Kazi was infuriated. Who is it who can call me like this? So, but as soon as he came out and he saw Shri Gadadhar Das Goswami's very calm demeanor, he softened up and he said, he recognized Gadadhar Das Goswami and recognized, how can I help you? What brings you here? So Gadadhar Das Goswami said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to distribute the holy name to deliver everybody. Why haven't you accepted it? So Kazi says, oh, I'll accept it tomorrow. Gadadhar Das Goswami says, why tomorrow? I have come now to deliver you. Please chant the name of Hari now. So Kazi goes, I'll chant the name of Hari tomorrow. That's it. Shri Gadadhar Goswami is extremely happy. Why is he happy? Because Chand Kazi has just chanted the name of Hari when he said, I will chant the name of Hari tomorrow. That's it. So Gadadhar Goswami is extremely happy that he has delivered. Just by saying Hari once, he told Kazi, you've been delivered of all your sins. So and Chand Kazi paid respects to Gadadhar Das Goswami. So today is the Tirobhav of Shri Gadadhar Das Goswami. Next is Sri Dhananjaya Pandita. Not much is known about Sri Dhananjaya Pandita, except the fact that he was also a very close associate of Nityananda Prabhu. And it is said that Nityananda Prabhu always lived in his heart. Now, Nityananda Prabhu, most of his associates, it is said by Acharyas that they were actually in the Gopa Bhav. But Shri Gadadhar Das Goswami in particular was in the mood of a gopi. And it is said that Shri Gadadhar Das Goswami was an incarnation of one of the gopis called Purna Nandana Gopi, and also incarnation of the bodily effulgence of Srimati Radharani. That is Shri Gadadhar Das Goswami. And coming to the disappearance of Shri Srinivas Acharya, we've earlier, some time ago, we've had a class on Shri Srinivas Acharya as well. He was a disciple of Gopala Bhatta Goswami and a very close friend of Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda Prabhu. And they were together instructed to preach extensively in Bengal by Srila Jiva Goswami. And Srila Srinivas Acharya also, if we recollect, helped deliver King Birhambir as well, who became his disciple. In terms of Srila Srinivas Acharya's literary works, he didn't write much because he was mainly involved in book distributions and preaching. His literary works are said to be, he wrote only 5 poems, and he wrote a commentary on the 4 seed verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. And of course, the very famous Sad Goswami Ashtakam. Now his Bhajan Kutir and his deities, Radha Madhav deities, are worshipped even today, very close to the Radha Kund. And I actually have 2 photos to share quickly, and with that we will conclude today's session, please. Okay, is my screen visible here, please?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so these are the deities of Radha Madhav of Shri Srinivas Acharya. Very, very old deities. And this is right besides the Radha Kund, worshipped even today. And here on the left-hand side, you can see the Bhajana Kutir of Srila Srinivas Acharya at the Radha Kund. And this photo was actually sent to me by one of the Prabhujis there just about 2 hours ago, when all the Babajis had come today to offer their respects and do some chanting today, being the disappearance of Srila Srinivas Acharya. And these deities are Radha Brajamani. These deities are situated along with, at the bottom, you can see Srila Srinivas Acharya's deities at the bottom, Radha Madhav. And this altar is right opposite to the Bhajan Kutir of Srinivas Acharya. Very beautiful deities. Shri Radha Brajmani. So thank you very much. Shri Gopashtami Mahautsav ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Nitai Prabhu. All glories to your wonderful discourse on today.